Hi, so this is going to be my stripped down challenge. Don't know what this is. It basically started because an Australian Instagram famous model-y kind of person called Senna O'Neill, and this is like, I've watched a lot of people strip down videos, and so many people are like, I don't really know how this started. This was like front page news, because I'm Australian, obviously, so it was a huge thing. I heard it on the way home listening to the radio, and there was like, there's this, it sounds weird, but there's like this government-funded young people station, which you would think was terrible, but it's actually really, really good, because it's not, doesn't mean like kids, it's like 18 to like 30 age kind of thing. It's a really cool radio station in any case. And they have a kind of ballsy current affairs program, and they talk to a couple of people about this video about a Senator O'Neill basically saying that she was going to quit social media because it made her feel fake. So a lot of people have been misquoting this as saying all social media is fake, and that's not, like, I watched the original video before the strip down challenge thing happened, because I'm just a hipster, I'm that cool. And what she was kind of trying to say is that she did stuff, like she got paid to wear particular items of clothing or whatever in her Instagram photos and then portrayed them um, not quite as selfies, but like as just her everyday life. So she'd go to a photo shoot and then you just upload the photos over a period of time and make it seem like it's, you know, just what you're doing every day. And that wasn't, like, that's not how she started. She started as literally that was her just taking selfies, and then she got famous, and so started wanting to grow, get more money, that kind of thing. I would have professional, I don't know what you call it, agencies, I guess, they came up to her and were like, hey, we want to pay you to do this stuff, and once it starts becoming a job, you start investing more money in it. And she basically said that she'd always wanted to be that kind of famous person on the internet, and she was striving for more likes and more followers and that kind of thing on Instagram, mainly. And it was basically destroying her, and in particular, she mentioned as a like 12-year-old girl, she had, you know, eating disorders, body image issues, like a lot of people do at that kind of age, and she didn't want to be one of the people perpetrating that to other young people. So part of the reason she made the video was to say to everyone in the world, particularly people struggling with that, that do not try and make your life what you think you see on social media, because a lot of it is covered up. And I think even on YouTube, where like people are doing this challenge where you have to talk, you can't edit anything, that kind of stuff, it's still different to talking to someone in real life, because there are times in real life where you can't hide what you're feeling. So for example, I'm recording this video now. I chose to do it now because my exams finished this morning, so this afternoon, and I had a couple of spare hours, so I was like, I'm going to record some stuff. If I'd recorded it yesterday, I would have been an absolute panicked wreck, because I would have been like, I can't, like, I have this exam, I have no idea what's going on, I'm going to fail, that kind of stuff. So even though this is a stripped down challenge, you're still only seeing a particular side of me, and that's the thing that I want to get through in this, which is going to be a bit different than most people's, is that you need to bear in mind that you don't see everything about people on the internet. And that's not necessarily to say that like people are lying to you or anything, it's just because you only see them at particular times, and it's much easier on the internet to, when you're in a really shit mood, just not check Skype or Facebook or whatever and not have to talk to people. And particularly with things like YouTube, Instagram, you only upload the things that are good, if that makes sense. Like I've recorded a couple of videos which I've never uploaded because looking back at them, I was like, oh my god, that was such a terrible thing to do, so I just don't upload it. Whereas in real life, I talk to someone and say something stupid, and I can't take it back. So that's kind of a long background into this. Now, the challenge itself was actually started by a guy called Jonah Green. Again, I watched the video before Shady did his. I've also seen that video. It's all the people saying you couldn't find the tweet. Psh, lame. So I saw Jonah Green's video because didn't know who he was, didn't watch it at all, but it came up as a recommended thing after I watched Asena's, and I was interested because I wanted to see a few different perspectives on this thing, because there was one person being like, social media has made me depressed, I know it doesn't help a lot of other young girls, and that kind of thing. And then there is this other guy who comes out and says, yes, look, a lot of it is edited, a lot of it is trying to make yourself look as good as possible, but there is still, don't know how to put it, basically not everyone, I don't know a good way of putting it without sounding condescending at all, but it's basically, he was saying like, I'm terrible with words. See, usually I edit all this shit out until I can figure out the right way of saying it, or at least re-record or have notes or something, but none of that. Other things you'll notice, I haven't shaved. That's partly because of exams. I just couldn't be fucked, honestly. I'm also really fucking tired because fucking exams. But I'm mostly finished now. I only have like one to go, and that's not really important. And then I have an assignment, which I haven't started, but it'll be fine. Well, that's 5 minutes already. I was going to try and keep this relatively short because a lot of people's have been really, really long, which I'm not like complaining about, but I didn't want to ramble on too much. So yeah, I then watched Shady's, and a lot of things about that really hit me because I really look up to Shady. So I'll go back a little bit. So basically, I got into Pokemon as a kid, as most people did. Had a bit of a hiatus for a few years, and then got back into it when I went to college, which is Australian college and American college. So like year 11, which is fucked if I know. Like senior year, I want to say, of high school, maybe junior year, something like that. Basically, met a friend who mentioned Pokemon. I was like, oh, I used to play Pokemon, it was so much fun. And he was like, yeah, well, check out this thing called Showdown. And so got me into playing Showdown, got me into competitive, and he kind of taught me some of the basics. So he plays full-on Goth Stall, which is disgusting. He plays like mostly Stall, and you'll see some of those influences in my team building, unfortunately. But yeah, it's a strategy. And then so I had his perspective, and then I was like, I want to learn more about this, and I didn't really know where to go. So I just looked it up on YouTube. I think I looked up like Pokemon Showdown on YouTube or something, and by some miracle, one of the first people that came up was Pyrotos, Tommy. So I don't think a lot of people in like my chunk of the community really watch that much of his stuff, at least anymore. But he was the like first PokeTuber, quote unquote, or at least gaming YouTuber I ever watched. He was the first YouTuber I actually subscribed to, and went, I want to watch this person on a regular basis. And I still watch some of his stuff. I go to his streams when it's not at like 3 o'clock in the morning my time, because he's a very entertaining dude. He doesn't do like ultra competitive trying to ladder the top sets, he does interesting sets, and that was like, that's what I want to do with Pokemon. I want to do things which aren't, you know, the Smogon forum standards or whatever. I want to try and come up with something a bit unique that actually does work. So yeah. Then after that, I think I kept looking for more people because like he was uploading. Pyrotos usually uploads like once a day, and then sometimes not for a while, and that kind of thing. And I was like, I want to try and find more people to watch. And so I think he did a dual com with A-Drive, so I watched a bit of A-Drive stuff, and then decided like I didn't really like shiny hunting, and I still have mad respect for A-Drive. I just don't watch a lot of his stuff because I'm basically only into the competitive side, so I watch his GBA battles and that's about it. And I don't know how, I think I found Fufu through Pyrotos, and then through Fufu found Frank, and then through Frank found Miguel, and then through Miguel and Fufu and Frank found the GBA D-League, and that was when I actually like started to really get into Pokemon, and particularly Pokemon YouTube, because the D-League like blew my mind. So this is D-League Season 1, for those of you who don't know, and that absolutely like, I was amazed, because I was like, that is such an incredible idea. Like, Magnitude is an absolute freaking genius for coming up with it. It just revolutionized like the entire thing, because that was one of the problems I had with laddering on Showdown, is like, if I run this interesting thing, like there were times that I would run like this set and I'm like, it's a perfect counter to, you know, insert common Pokemon you see here, like a Azumarill. I come up with like a offbeat Azumarill counter. Like I like using Toxicroak in OU, because I'm like, it completely shuts down Azumarill, it can't switch into it, but like you can bring it in, it can't go for Aqua Jet, it means Belly Jet Azumarill just dies, that kind of thing. But then you run into a team that doesn't have an Azumarill and has like a Landorus T, and you don't carry Ice Punch, and you just get completely shut down. So I was like, oh well, okay, only better to just run generic bulky things and then generic offensive things and just try and hit everything. But the GBA style completely changes that. It goes, yes, you can run a weirdly specific EV spread on something to live hits, which if those of you watch my PPL battles know that's what I love to do. I run a lot of calcs and be like, how can I make this mon live as many hits as possible from as many different threats? Which possibly isn't the best way to go about it, but it's what I enjoy doing, so that's what I'm going to keep doing. So then I watched the entire season of the D-League. It had me completely hooked. And GBA season, what would that have been, season 3 came around. And that's when they had the whole shitstorm where everything caved. And during season 3, because of Pyrotos, I'd started following Ellie slash 8-Bit Insomniac because they did something together, and so I started watching her stuff. And she didn't upload very much, and then she started uploading PPL battles, basically. And I was like, oh my god, there's this other league that's so cool, and it's got British people. I like British accents, by the way, for those of you who don't know. And so through that, I found the likes of Shroomraver, I found Raiquin. Those are the main 3, Ellie, Shroom, Rai, who I started following the PPL. I didn't really look at most of the others' battles, except for like the quote-unquote important ones. But I started following the PPL a little bit, but my main focus was still like, oh my god, GBA is the greatest thing ever. And then when Season 3, that whole shitstorm happened, and they came back in Season 4, and they asked for applicants for like writers and analysts and that kind of thing. And I was like, I might as well apply, why not? So I did that. I didn't get accepted because, I'm not a very good writer. I do math, I do science, I can't write for shit. And this is now kind of the point where I'd started considering actually making my own YouTube channel. And the reason for that was I was looking, like, I really, really wanted to get into a league. I was like, this thing looks like so much fun. And so I was looking at a lot of the people who asked for applications, a lot of leagues, and most of them said, like, we would prefer it if you had an active YouTube channel and you knew how to edit videos and you were capable of that kind of stuff. So I was like, alright, what I'm going to do is during my break in the middle of the year between semesters, I'm going to investigate screen capture software. I'm going to look at buying a mic, look at buying a webcam, and try and make this work. Now, luckily for me, during that time was when No Pause Tawnies, who I'd kind of found through some PPL people, I had just made a Twitter account because that was another thing a lot of people wanted with a YouTube channel, and you need to have Twitter, you need to have Skype, that kind of thing. So I got all of those sorted, and I started following the people I liked watching YouTube on Twitter, and found the NPT tournament thing, which was the Open Showdown series, which are the first videos uploaded on this channel. So I was like, you know what, I'm going to enter it. It'll mean I have to get up at 2 o'clock in the morning, but fuck it, it's my holidays. I'm not too worried, it'll work out. And so I did that. And by some absolute fucking fluke, won the tournament, which I was not expecting. Like, I put a lot of effort into team building, because this was the point where I'm like, I just wanted to get enough recognition within the Pokemon community to the point where I could get into a league. And not just, like, I tried to get a couple of league-type battles with people, with, like, my friends, but the only friend I know who's really good, like, knows anything much about competitive Pokemon, the only other friends I know who play Pokemon are just like, yeah, I like playing the games. But yeah, the only friend I had who knew about competitive, A, he moved away for university, and B, he wasn't that interested in draft format. He like watched some GBA videos, was like, nah, I prefer standard Lantern, God knows why. And so he wasn't particularly keen on playing against me like that, so I was like, okay. And started trying to get into another one. So I wanted to get recognition. I'm rambling so much here. I wanted to get recognition so I could get into a league somewhere. And winning that tournament, I was like, this will be the start of it. People will be like, oh, hey, this guy's actually a decent player. And so then I was like, I need to get myself out there on YouTube and start learning the do's and don'ts of recording videos, how to edit, what music to use, that kind of thing. I need to start doing it because that's the best way to learn. And if I upload some shit videos to begin with, it's fine. People won't watch them. And they didn't. Like, I still get hardly any views on my videos, and I don't care, because I'm doing this for 2 reasons. One, because I found I actually like editing, and that kind of stuff. It's fun. Like, in particular, the ones where like it's a highlights reel or something like that, or a replay which I make a gimmick set work or something like that, where it's like you put it's basically just a shit post, but it's actually kind of fun to go through and edit it, and then you feel like the sense of achievement when you finish. You're like, I did something useful. Um, yeah, so I decided I enjoyed that, but yeah, the main reason I started doing this was to get into a league. Um, and then, as some of you probably know, through the NPT tournament, I got into the All-Star Invitational, which was, again, at 2 o'clock in the morning my time. That's when it started, so I couldn't, and it would go for like 6-7 hours, so if I stayed up, by the time it finished, I would be dead on my feet. And so what I tried to do was go to sleep at like 10 o'clock at night the night before, and then get up after 4 hours sleep, and it wasn't a great plan. But I ended up sleeping through my alarm because I was obviously just tired, and 4 hours sleep is not enough. So I missed that entire tournament, and I was like, crap. Well, there goes the reputation I was trying to build, because I wanted to be like, look, I'm a reliable person who will turn up when they say they're going to, even though I have a shit time zone, who will, you know, upload the videos I'm supposed to, etc., etc. Luckily for me, it didn't matter, because I'd been in a couple of Skype calls with Lace and MC at that point, and I think a few other people, like Paulie Mac might have recommended me, I don't know. I'd also been talking to Colton a little bit, that kind of stuff. And so I don't know exactly how, but I got offered a spot in the PPL Division 2. And this literally blew my mind, because the only 2 leagues I followed ever were the GBA and the PPL. And so when someone offered me, even though it was a spot in Division 2, they were like, oh yeah, well, the Trojan Horsey is going to be in Division 2. And I was like, are you fucking kidding me? Because I knew he'd be in Division 1 last season. I didn't know Layson had started out in Division 1, because I came in after seeing the Week 1 battles and that kind of thing. But I knew that Troy had been involved, and I was like, holy shit, this is going to be actually good people. And then, so I started getting added to Skype calls, Skype groups and stuff, and people are like, welcome Travesty, he's a new coach. And then there was Ryquin, who'd be like, hi, and I was literally starstruck, which is going to sound really stupid to those specific people, because like I know a lot of them like, oh, I have 800 subs, which is like a good amount, but it's not like I don't want to be famous, etc., etc. I was genuinely starstruck. I was like fangirling at my computer, and this is back to what I was saying about the internet not necessarily being fake, but you only see one side. Obviously through Skype I can pretend that I'm not sitting there going, oh my god, and I was. That was such a stupid noise, but yeah, no editing. So I was absolutely blown away, and I was like, I need to follow all these people, I need to get to know all the coaches, etc., etc., and I was so into it. That's basically why I started YouTube, why I'm still doing YouTube, is because I love League format. I want to keep going in leagues. I want to just, it's what I want to do with my spare time, because this is basically my release, I guess. YouTube is the only thing where I'm not concerned about doing well. So like I have 53 subscribers now, I think, and it'd be nice if that number didn't go down, but I'm not too bothered. I don't really check how many views videos get. I don't try and like make video, like I don't look at what types of videos got more views and make more of those, that kind of thing. I just don't really care, honestly. Because I'm doing this so I can be in a league, and I understand that uploading league battles is important, because it's not just for the people who want to follow the league, it's also for the other coaches and that kind of thing. So I will continue to upload the battles, and also it's helping my video editing, it's helped my graphics making, which is still appalling, by the way. But it's been a good learning experience, and I want to keep doing it, so I'm going to keep doing it. But everything else in my life, and this is going to get to the deep bit, and I'm at 19 minutes already. Man, this is going to be a long video. But yeah, so everything else in my life, I feel a pressure to be the best. I want to be the very best. Yeah, no. And by that I mean, like, so I do cross-country running. I've made the state team a few years in a row. I also do athletics, so I've made the state team a few years in a row. I never do great at nationals. Like, the best I've done is top 40, but that's out of like 100 people in the race, so it's good. I don't want to sound like I'm bragging, but like that's a solid performance, and I'm proud of myself for that. I also I was always relatively smart. So I've watched a lot of these videos. I watched Kelly's, I watched Rise, I watched Ellie's, I watched someone else's. I watched Shady's, obviously, to begin with, Jonah's, etc. And the one I probably identified the most with was Paul, because there are a lot of things that he talked about where I was like, yeah, that was me. So I wasn't quite the genius in kindergarten or whatever, but so as some of you know, I used to live in Switzerland. When we moved back to Australia, because the years were kind of out, my sister got put into year 3 and she hadn't done times tables, I believe, or maybe she skipped a year. Basically, she hadn't done times tables, and at this point I was in kindergarten, which is, I don't know what the equivalent is in fucking America or whatever, but yeah. And so my dad was like, well, we need to teach your sister times tables. So what we do is driving to school every day, he would ask her times tables. And because I was just sitting there listening, I picked it up. So by the end of kindergarten, I could do my times tables, and I could add, and I was very, very good with numbers. I could also read, but most people can read by kindergarten. The other thing was, I was also doing all of this in French and English. So I went to a very weird school which is owned jointly by the Australian government and the French government, and they teach both curriculums at once, which means I do the entire Australian curriculum and the entire French curriculum like at the same time. So what that meant with this school is basically anyone who was, I don't want to say like below average intelligence, basically people who didn't actually do some work and people who weren't that smart dropped out quite quickly because it was fucking intense. Like, for a kindergartner, learning 1 language is hard enough. Learning 2 and their histories and whatever when you get into later years was freaking, like, it was insane when I think back on it. But that basically meant up until primary, all of primary school up until year 6, which I believe is like the middle of middle school for America. I have no idea about England, so you guys just kind of deal with that. And so it meant that I was in a very, I don't want to say exclusive, but like a group of students who were really, really smart, in like on average. And I did not amazingly, but I did fairly well throughout those. Like, I got mostly A's, and this was only in primary school, so it didn't really matter. And then we got to high school, where what the school did was they said, well, you can continue with the French system, or you can do the Australian system. And I continued with the French system because I wanted, well, I didn't want to. My parents wanted me to keep up my French. I hated French at that point, but I kept doing it, which was the right decision. Like, obviously, my parents know better than 11-year-old me did, when 11-year-old me just wanted the easy way out. So I'm very glad that I went through with that. And I did it up until the end of French high school. So I did the Brevet National, and that was probably the first time I actually worked hard for anything in my life. So it's like an end of high school exam for the French curriculum. And I basically, about a semester out from that exam, was like, you know, I want to do well. I've been hitting, you know, A's, B's for most subjects. I decided I wanted to try and get mention très bien, which is equivalent of like a high distinction, equivalent of an A, whatever, basically the top possible grade, because you get a score out of 20 as well, but the top possible grade. I wanted to get that because my sister had done it, and I was like, if anything my sister can do, I can do. That's what I wanted to convince myself. So I actually sat down and worked hard for a little while, which I had never done before, and got relatively good results. Like, I wasn't the top of the class by any means, but I did well enough. I got my mention très bien, and I was like, sweet. And then I swapped across to the Australian system, and all of a sudden I was topping, well, not topping because I didn't really like do rankings, but I was doing really, really well in a lot of these subjects because no one else did any work, and I had gotten used to actually doing some work. So all of a sudden I got this reputation for being a smart kid, and I didn't know where that came from. Now, unfortunately, the downside of that was the pressure that came along with it, and this is probably something that is different from a lot of the other videos I've seen, except Paul's, which is, and this is what I'm, the long-winded way around to this. As I said, YouTube is the only thing where I don't try and be the best, and the reason in everything else I do try to be the best is mostly, it's a combination of external pressure and internal pressure. And partway through PPL season, I uploaded a video being like, I'm going to take this a lot less seriously because I'm putting a lot of pressure on myself, which I do a lot with other things. So like my running, every other sport I've played, I play Quidditch as well, which is great fun. But anyway, and everything I try and do, I did music for a while, obviously with school, I want to try and be the absolute best. Like there's not even a question. I am very, very much driven by like, it's not necessarily being better than everyone else, but at least being better than I was before I did anything else. Sorry about webcam moving and stuff, by the way. I'm just recording this on my bed because I can't be fucked. Where was I? Yeah, doing well at shit. But part of the problem with that is it led to expectations from other people, and this is my parents, this is other people at my school, that kind of thing, that I had to do well. And this is still going on, is at school, I'm like, I have to do well, partly for a different reason now, but anyway. And that got me through basically year 11 and 12 in Australia, or at least in my part of Australia, or you go to a different school. So all through high school, I got a reputation for being smart. I got bullied a fair amount by people in the Australian system because they didn't like some people in the French system, and because I wasn't a very likable person anyway. And then I went to a school for year 11 and 12, which is basically the top public school in the state, so you can pay to go to, there are two other schools that are better, that you have to pay for, well, like quote-unquote better, that you have to pay for, and then this one is like ranked third. Yeah, we actually have rankings, which is stupid, but anyway. And so obviously like a lot of people apply to get in. We had, I think, 500 or so people in our year cohort alone. And college, by the way, is year 11 and 12, not university. So I was 15 applying to go to this school, and it was like the big one, and I wasn't a great chance to get in because basically they have like areas for each school, and if you're within the area, you're guaranteed to get into a public school, which is part of why their scores drop compared to private schools, because private schools can select anyone they want. But I was not in area for this school, so I had to apply to get in, and I got in, and I was like, yes, awesome. And then when I got there, everyone was so fucking smart. Like, it was literally, like, there's a reason it, like, once it gets a reputation for being the best school, obviously the best students go there. And there were students there who absolutely blew my mind, and still continue to blow my mind, because they are just so absolutely unfathomably brilliant. And that really pushed me, because like I said, I want to be the best at stuff. So when I got to this school, first term, I still got A's, but the way this school posts scores, which encourages this competitive vibe, which is really, really unhealthy, but, you know, it's how the Australian system works, is that you get a score based on your rank, essentially. And so what they would do is they'd post an ID number, so theoretically no one would know, but people eventually worked out who was related to what number, at least amongst their friends and the people they wanted to beat. They would post, like, in order the number, and then the percentage they got, and then like a scaled score. So you could see the percentage you got over the course overall, and then a scaled score, which just involved basically the smart subjects, so math, high level math, science, and by that I mean like chemistry, physics, biology didn't scale quite as well, that kind of thing. There's a bunch of people come up with theories for what subjects scale and what you should do. Anyway, so basically I got A's, but I was sitting around like 20th to 30th for most things, and amongst a school of 500, like, that's still pretty fucking good, but I was a little bit disappointed, but in particular my dad was very disappointed. He was like, you're better than this. You were basically one of the smartest people at your school up until year 10, and you should be doing better. And so I started trying, essentially, like, a lot more. I basically forfeited a social life, started studying a lot. Like, I would come home and just, basically, if I wasn't running, I was studying. So I'd go for my run, come back, have a shower, study for a few hours, have dinner, study for a few hours, sleep. Like, I got a set sleep schedule, 10 to 7 every day. I would, like, so at 10 o'clock, I'd have an alarm that'd go off. Once that happened, everything else shut down. I went to bed, alarm went off at 7, I got up, repeat, repeat, repeat every day. I was studying most of the weekends. I would get assignments done multiple weeks in advance, and then redraft and redraft and redraft to get as many people to read it as possible, and that kind of thing, and it paid off. So I end up getting an ATAR score, which stands for like Australian Tertiary Admission Rank score of 99.75. For those of you in Australia, you know what that means. Everyone else, it basically means it's the percentage of people you beat in Australia, like in the country. In theory, it doesn't quite work like that because there's some weird mathematical things, like I think they cut it off at like 30 because they assume 30% of the population doesn't do school, which is weird. But anyway, so I got a number that tells me that I'm better than most people at school, and that got me into the university I'm at, and the degree that I'm in, and the scholarship that I'm on. So now I have to continue doing well because I've now, if I stop doing well, I stop getting my money, which isn't great. And I also get kicked out of my degree, which isn't great. So now the pressure is really on to do well, and I'm struggling to find motivation to study anymore because I just am not interested in some of the things I'm doing. It's like very occasionally there'll be some aspect, like one particular part of physics where I'm like, that is actually really, really cool, I want to do more of that, and then they'll go on about all the other stuff which I don't care about. And I find it really, really hard to motivate myself for study because in year 11 and 12 I had that list and I was sitting here and I wanted to get to here, and then once I got here I wanted to get higher, and you can't even see this anymore, but anyway. And so it was constantly just trying to get to that top spot. I never achieved top spot, but I got pretty down close, and ended up being like one of the top 3 students. I think I was 3rd out of everyone in the school, which is pretty great. Not gonna lie, but no, as in like I was really, really proud. I was really, really happy of that. And then at university, it's just like you get this grade, then you pass the course. You get this grade, you don't. And I have to maintain a high level of pass, called a high distinction, for every course. But that's like the bare minimum. So as long as I get that, it's fine. And so I started doing things where, like, leading up to an exam, if I work out I only need 50% to pass, like to get that grade, then I will do enough study, I think, to get me 50%, rather than be like, I don't care if I just get a pass, I want to get the best. I don't do that anymore. I don't really know why. Fuck, this has been a long time. I underestimated how hard it was to keep these short. Anyway, I haven't said anything too deep, but on that, I just wanted to finish up with, like, Paul, if you're watching this, which you might, I feel where they're coming from the pressure stuff. I feel where they're coming from the anxiety stuff. I had anxiety for a while, back when I was doing the French stuff, and then it went away for a little while after I got that 99 score that made me feel good about myself. It went away for a while, I managed to get it under control. It started coming back when I started PPL, which I'm not sure if it was related to PPL. It was also, at that point, like, a lot of stuff in uni was starting to get really hard, and I was having to actually, like, put a lot of effort into that, and then I was trying to do Pokemon stuff as well, and it was getting to the point, like, it feels like everything is just crashing around you. You're in a freaking plane crash, and there's nothing you can do about it. So it started coming back, and that's when I made that video where I'm like, nah, I'm going to cut PPL back a little bit, I'm going to stop taking it so seriously, and I started doing the things that helped me before, you know, meditation, yoga, that kind of stuff. Which sounds freaking stupid, but honestly, when your entire life feels like it's going at a million miles an hour and there's nothing you can do to control any of it, being able to just, like, sit down and breathe and get control of yourself again is so important. And yeah, anyway, I don't really know how to finish this. There's a lot of stuff I was going to say, but I don't have time to say all of that in 40 minutes, even though this is supposed to be 10, and I can't edit this. I might not even upload this. Who knows? I guess see you in my next upload.